Chapter 67 of Married Thrice to Salted Fish. After Lynching his remarriage, Huantang and Hualu also came to the general's mansion. Both of them had a very tangled feelings towards Gu Fuzhao. Huantang was still fine. He was Lin Chingyu's person after all. No matter what Lin Chingyu wanted to do, he would support it wholeheartedly. Although he too felt a little pity for young Master Hao, the general was simply too heroic. Take for example yesterday, the general had angered the young master for some reason, and in order to amuse the young master, the general went to the training grounds and put on a show for him, breaking slabs of stone on his chest. Were it young Master Hao, would he have been able to do something like that? Forget breaking those slabs, even just having those slabs press against young Master Hao's stomach, and within half an hour, he would have died. So sad, but so true. Man seeks his way up just as water seeks its way down. If his family's young master wanted to remarry, he had to marry someone who was more powerful. There was nothing wrong with that. There was no need to speak of Hualu. She was Lu Wancheng's closest maid. When Lu Wancheng was still alive, he treated her like a younger sister. The reason why she was willing to follow Lin Chingyu was because of her respect and love for Lin Chingyu, but even more than that, it was because of young Master Hao. She knew that the one young Master Hao had been most concerned about, the one he had worried about most, was Lin Chingyu, and so she wanted to stand in for young Master Hao and stay by Lin Chingyu's side to look after him. However, Lin Chingyu seemed to have completely forgotten about young Master Hao. He and General Gu were newlyweds and were stuck together all the time. They even had the bunk bed specially designed by young Master Hao moved into their bridal chamber. If young Master Hao out there in the afterlife knew of this, oh, how sad he would be. While it was true that she admired the general, if she were made to choose, she would definitely stand with young Master Hao. I hope Hualu and Huantang also get to know that it is the same salted fish, so that they don't have these, restrictions while they're shipping them. I mean, Huantang is fine. He will always support Lin Chingyu. But Hualu, I think Hualu needs to know that young Master Hao and General Gu are same, so that she can wholeheartedly ship them. She won't do anything bad, I know that, but she's a nice girl, but I don't want her to be in the dark. I want her to be wholeheartedly happy. I'm pretty sure she would just cry out of happiness knowing that, young Master Hao returned in a healthy body and he can eat his favorite ice cold red grapes. Hualu was someone of no sophistication. Her thoughts were written all over her face. Her eyes, whenever she looked at Gu Fuzhao, were always filled with a bit of resentment. Gu Fuzhao could guess what she was thinking. She was ready to make some trouble. Wait, what? I just bagged the girl up. Don't do anything, please. The end of the year was approaching. It was getting colder and colder. Although it had yet to snow, the wind was already bitingly cold, like a knife cutting against one's face. Who knew what had gotten into Gu Fuzhao? Instead of staying in a nice warm room, he insisted on taking Lin Chingyu to the yard for dinner. Gu Fuzhao ordered someone to bring out a stove with charcoal burning underneath and a long washed stone covering the top. When the stone turned hot, Gu Fuzhao brushed a layer of oil on it and placed the finely cut meats by the cook on it to grill. The hot oil lowered only the grains of the meat. Oh, wait, what? The hot oil lowered along the grains of the meat. It made a sizzling sound, tempting people's fingers into twitching. Lin Chingyue saw it as a novelty. It was the first time he had seen this way of eating. Gu Fuzhao grilled a few pieces of mutton first, then put it into Lin Chingyue's bowl. Chingyue, try it. Lin Chingyue took a small bite and said reservedly, "The only thing I can say is that it's normal. The mutton taste is very strong." "Don't you eat mutton for the mutton flavor?" Gu Fuzhao picked up a piece that was lined with both lean and fat. "Try this one. Open your mouth." After hesitating for a while, Lin Chingyue opened his mouth and allowed Gu Fuzhao to put it into his mouth. Looking from out the corner of his eye, Gu Fuzhao saw Hualu, who was sitting to one side, and the aggrieved look in her eyes. He raised his voice and asked, "Chingyue, did you even have barbecue with your former husband?" Lin Chingyue, ... What's wrong with this person? Gu Fuzhao rubbed his chin and said, "This general has heard that young Master Hao was so weak that he had to use a wheelchair whenever he went, and he couldn't eat these greasy things. What kind of fun could you have had with him before?" "What the general said is correct," Lin Chingyue said coolly. "I can only say that it is fortunate that young Master Hao died early." "Guys, you're not doing good in the eyes of Hualu. Don't do this. Girl is going to have a heart attack at an early age. Oh my gosh, please." Hualu stared at Lin Chingyue in disbelief. "Young master, how could you say such a thing?" Gu Fuzhao asked again. "Then, who do you like more, young Master Hao or this general?" Lin Chingyue rolled his eyes. Having nothing better to talk about? The great beauty rolling his eyes can also be pleasing to the eyes. Gu Fuzhao said with a smile, "You can tell me the truth. This general isn't going to drink the vinegar of a dead man." Seeing that Hualu was almost to the point of tears, Lin Chingyue said, "Then I prefer young Master Hao." Hualu was moved. "Young master." Gu Fuzhao put on an expression of surprise and disappointment, all the while not forgetting to continue feeding Lin Chingyue. How could this be? Has this general done anything that isn't to his wife's liking? Lin Chingyue's lips curved into a smile. "Young Master Hao is younger and more beautiful than the general. I like them young and beautiful. Is there anything wrong with that?" Gu Fuzhao ... Lin Chingyue saw that the beef that Gu Fuzhao gave him was still red and said, "This is not cooked yet." Gu Fuzhao told him, "Beef is delicious when it's medium rare." Lin Chingyue threw the medium rare beef into Gu Fuzhao's bowl with disgust. "Then why didn't you just let it bask in the sun instead? It will taste better if it's cooked." Yeah, I don't know much about, medium rare steaks and stuff. I do not eat it that way. Lin Chingyue's "I like them young and beautiful" kept Gu Fuzhao from sleeping that night. Lin Chingyue slept on the bottom bunk, and from time to time he could hear him turning over, making him unable to sleep. "Aren't you the type to fall asleep as soon as your head touches the pillow?" Lin Chingyue asked. "What's the matter today?" Gu Fuzhao rolled down from the bed, sat down beside Lin Chingyue, and asked worriedly, "Chingyue, Do you really like Lu Wancheng's body more? So it was for this matter. Both Lu Wancheng and Gu Fuzhao were first-class handsome men, but they were handsome in different ways. Lu Wancheng was noble, while Gu Fuzhao was heroic. Either one was very pleasing to the eyes, but if he were to choose, he still preferred Gu Fuzhao's current body. Being healthy, free from illness and diseases, were more important than anything else. Lin Qingyi could see that Gu Fuzhao really worried about this issue, so he stopped teasing and told him the truth. In terms of outward appearance, Lu Wancheng and Gu Fuzhao each have their own advantages. Inwardly, they are all you. As long as it's you, it makes no difference to me. A smile slowly appeared on Gu Fuzhao's face. Mine too. It was windy at night and he was only wearing pajamas, so it was inevitable that he was a little cold. Gu Fuzhao put his hand into Lin Qingyi's quilt. Lying on the edge of the bed, he said, "You said it so nicely, but if I had transferred to someone this time, you definitely wouldn't let me put my hand into your quilt." Lin Qingyi couldn't deny. "That's true, I would have chopped them off for you." Although he wouldn't go so far as to solely judge someone by their appearance, a marriage would mean that husband and wife would have to look at each other every day. If it were someone too ugly, it would inevitably influence his feelings. Oh, Gu Fuzhao saved you. May his soul rest in peace. Lin Qingyi thought for a while and said, "But there is someone whose appearance has taken my breath away." "Really?" Gu Fuzhao was doubtful. "Whose?" Lin Qingyi looked at him. "Really?" Gu Fuzhao said unhappily. "What does he look like?" "I have forgotten." As soon as he woke up from that dream, he forgot. That breathless kind of feeling was the only thing he remembered. Someone good looking enough to stun even you. How could you forget? And you have such a good memory too. "I don't know." Thinking of that dream, Lin Qingyi didn't want to give Gu Fuzhao something to brag about. He threw Gu Fuzhao's hand from out his quilt and said, "Now shoo and go to sleep." When will Lin Qingyi realize that he likes the salted fish? Oh my gosh, he need to realize it soon. I can't take this thing anymore. On the third day after the wedding, the two returned to the Lin residence. The return ceremony had been prepared by Yuan Yan, and having received Gu Fuzhao's instructions, the gifts he brought back were twice as many as when he'd gone back the first time. The Lin residence's warehouse was so full that they had no choice but to empty out several more rooms to hold all the gifts. Gu Fuzhao and Lin Qingyi once again served tea to his parents. Afterwards, Gu Fuzhao took out a gift for Lin Qinghe, a saber that he used when he was young. It was just right for Lin Qinghe to use at his age. Lin Qinghe accepted his gift and said in a prim and proper voice, "Thank you, General." Lin Qinghe had been taught very well by his parents and elder brothers. In front of outsiders, he carried himself like the young son of a noble family. He only acted like a spoiled child in front of his family. When Gu Fuzhao was still Lu Wancheng, he was one of the targets of his spoiled antics. Seeing Lin Qinghe treating him like such an outsider, he couldn't help but say, "Qinghe, how did you call young Master Hao before?" Thinking of Lu Wancheng, Lin Qinghe pursed his lips and said sadly, I call him Wancheng again. Then you can call me the same way too. Lin Qinghe secretly glanced at his brother and seeing him nod said, all right, Uncle Gu. Oh my gosh, emotional damage right there. If he could faint, imagining, somebody shot his heart, he would have totally done that. Oh my freaking gosh. So freaking hilarious. Gu Fuzhou's face cracked. Mother Lin hurriedly said, Qinghe, don't call him that. You have messed up your seniorities. Lin Qingyu, taking pleasure over the other's misfortune, said, the general is more than 20 years older than Qinghe. Asking him to call the General Gege would be forcing him to do the impossible. After returning from Lin residence, Gu Fuzhou fell into a depressed mood. Obviously, he got hit where it hurts the most. He wasn't depressed at being called uncle. Rather, it was because his 3-day marriage leave was over and tomorrow he had to get up early to go to the court once again. There was one person in the general's mansion who was even more depressed than Gu Fuzhou, and that was Yuan Yan. Yuan Yan found Lin Qingyu and said with a wry smile, I have to ask the madam to wake up the general tomorrow. Lin Qingyu said indifferently, all right, don't worry. Yuan Yan could not worry, and he said a few more words. Having just been married, I'm afraid the madam must not know. Since the general returned from Yongliang, he seems to be suffering from hypersomnia. No matter how much I call to him, he will not wake up. I humbly request the madam to start waking the general half an hour in advance to give the general some extra time. Lin Qingyu gave him a meaning-laden smile. It may be that I have more experience than you in getting him up. Yuan Yan was greatly shocked. He also didn't dare to ask any more questions. He said with an appeasing smile, then I will have to trouble the madam. Morning court at the dayus was set at Maoshi, and officials would usually get up at the 5th watch. Maoshi is basically 5 to 7 a.m. and 5th watch would be around 4 a.m. Gosh, even I wouldn't wake up. When the time came, Lin Qingyu finished washing and dressing, then went to wake Gu Fuzhou by once again pinching his nose shut. General, it's time to go to court. Gu Fuzhou held painfully onto the quilt. I don't want to go to court. Qingyu, I don't want to go to court. What's the use of telling me? Gu Fuzhou closed his eyes. I have decided I'm going to take a leave of absence. Or better yet, I'll just simply go back to being a civilian. Lin Qingyu ignored him, quickly and ruthlessly pulled off his quilt. He then summoned the servants to wait upon Gu Fuzhou to wash up. Gu Fuzhou was irritable in the mornings, and his face was frighteningly gloomy. The sternness of his expression had great terrorizing power, and it deterred people from approaching. Lin Qingyu asked the maid serving him to dress to withdraw, taking her place to personally help Gu Fuzhou into his official uniform. Oh, dressing your hubby to work. Gu Fuzhou looked down at Lin Qingyu, who was earnestly fastening his belt. The greater part of his irritability vanished. He asked, Qingyu, will you see me off to court? Lin Qingyu raised his eyes and glanced at him, How old are you that you need someone to send you to court? Gu Fuzhao didn't feel the least bit of shame. I heard from Wu Zhan that every time he leaves his house, his wife sends him off, and every time he comes back, he can even enjoy her home cooked soup. I'm really envious. Of course, I can't wait thinking of you making soup. After all, Dr. Lin's hands are made for handling greater things. Gu Fuzhao blabbed on and on. Lin Qing picked up his official's hat, or cap. When he tried to put it on him, he found that he couldn't reach Gu Fuzhao's head. He said, "Bow your head." Gu Fuzhao bent down so that Lin Qingyu could help him put it on. Oh, so freaking sweet. Lin Qingyu looked at Gu Fuzhao and said, "I will send the general to court." Gu Fuzhao was momentarily stunned. He then smiled and said, "I was joking. It's cold outside. Just stay at home and wait for me to come back." "Don't talk nonsense." Lin Qingyu put on a snow white fox fur robe. "Let's go." Gu Fuzhao chuckled to himself and followed after Lin Qingyu. He said, "Qingyu, do you know how we say 'don't talk nonsense' in my hometown?" "How?" "Stop it with your bibe." "I will keep that in mind," Lin Qingyu said. "But don't you hate it when I speak in your hometown dialect?" Gu Fuzhao heaved a sigh. "You have already learned it, so you might as well learn more. If you manage to go to my hometown someday, you will be able to freely communicate with my fellow townsmen." Lin Qingyu only saw him off at the gate of the general's mansion. He watched Gu Fuzhao leave in the carriage, then said to Hualu behind him, "Hualu, do you now understand?" Hualu didn't understand at all. She shook her head blankly. "Young master, what is it that I'm supposed to understand?" Lin Qingyu sneered. "In the future, never marry a younger bag of lazy bones. Otherwise, you may have to send him off to court in the cold of early morning." Hualu understood, but also didn't. Just where was this bag of lazy bones who was younger than the young master? Oh gosh. I don't know. I mean, if it is an older bag of lazy bones, it would be just pathetic. So at least younger bag of lazy bones would be somewhat cute. So yeah, I'd pick younger bag of lazy bones. I'd pick salted fish. But I'm also a salted fish. Oh no.